Are you looking for a car that can haul you to work in comfort, your family in comfort, but make you look like a total hooligan and absolutely blow your mind when you hit the loud pedal? Well, I think the Dodge Charger SRT 392 might be just the car for you. Right now, I'm in a 2016 model, which is essentially the same as the 2018 model. I've been driving this thing around for a few hours. Shane Henderson over at World Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram, he lent me this car today, and woo, am I having fun. Oh my God, there's nothing better than a V8 noise, some V8 rumble. But what we're gonna do today in the review is fully experience this car and figure out, is it worth it to buy if you don't have the money for a Hellcat, or if you're just looking for a really stupid fast sedan. So let's start off with the styling. And the one thing I love about the styling on this car is no one's gonna call it discreet, but if you compare it to a Hellcat, most people that see this car, unless they really know what they're looking at, they're not going to tell the difference between the Hellcat. It has that super aggressive front end. I love the facelift front end. It just looks a lot more modern than the previous car did, while still maintaining that aggressive appearance that I really like. I love the LED running lights that look absolutely epic. They stare you down, really menacing looking. I love the grille with the SRT badge in it, the same badge that's on the Hellcat. When you move to the side of the car, you have the same graphite rims that you have on a Hellcat, and on this car it has Pirelli P0 tires. Now you also have 15.4-inch Brembo brakes up front with 6 piston calipers that are red. Really pop, especially with this really nice blue color. Another thing I love about the front end of the car is that amazing hood scoop, so that way the massive Hemi V8 can breathe and get some air and produce all of the power, all the speed, yes. And then when you move on to the side, I mean, it's basically the same as a regular Dodge Charger. I mean, that's what's so cool about this car is, yeah, I wouldn't call it discreet, but it doesn't really stand out too much more than a regular Charger does, which is what makes it so cool when you hit the loud pedal and absolutely obliterate anyone around you. When you move on to the back, I love the new sleek light bar. You still have low-key SRT badges, so that way people could think you could be in a Hellcat. The only way you would know that this is a 392 is that on the sides, just behind the front tires on both sides of the car, there's a 392 badge, which is the only thing that gives it away. Other than that, you might think it's a Hellcat. Now, let's talk about the performance of the 392. Woo. Now, this is just in regular mode right now, and you still have plenty of power. And I think all across the range you're gonna have plenty of power, because this is a 6.4-liter Hemi V8 that produces 485 horsepower and 475 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, it's not the absolutely ridiculous 707 horsepower that you have in the Hellcat, but I mean, this thing is still stupid powerful, more than powerful enough to put a smile on your face, but the power isn't inaccessible. It's very, very fun to just mat the gas, listen to that awesome V8 burble, and get catapulted forward at the speed of sound. Now, 485 horsepower is plenty, and it's mated to a 8-speed automatic, which is super nice. It shifts really fast, especially when you have it in track mode, and I'll get into all the driving modes and performance pages later in the review, but this powertrain gets you from 0 to 60, and I think it's about 4.2 seconds, which is ridiculously fast. I mean, yeah, it's not a sub-4-second car, but for a car that you're going to be using daily for a 4,400-pound sedan, 4.2 seconds is blisteringly quick. Now, from behind the wheel of the 392, the first thing you notice is just how big this car is. There's no hiding the fact that this car weighs 4,400 pounds and is a full-size sedan. But one thing that helps from behind the wheel is the fact that you have the performance pages set up. Now, when you go into the amazing Uconnect infotainment system, which is one of the best in the business, you can go into what's called SRT performance pages, and you have a bunch, and I mean a literal load of options here. You have the default options, which are track, sport, custom, and default. And then when you select each one, it'll show you the settings for the transmission, paddle shifters, traction, suspension, and steering. Now, if you go into race options, that gives you the ability to adjust the launch RPM for when you're using the launch control. Yes, this car has launch control. You can also adjust the shift light and all that good stuff, so that way it'll tell you when the best time to shift is. That's all endlessly adjustable. And if you go into default setup, that allows you to change everything. Trans, paddles, traction, suspension, and steering. You have 3 options for each, except for the paddles, which is just on and off. For the rest, you have track, sport, and street. Now, the suspension, it's adjustable Bilsteins, and man, you can really tell a difference between when you're in street mode and when you're in track mode. Track mode aggressively harshens up the ride, makes the car corner a lot flatter and a lot firmer. And the same goes for the steering mode. When you're in regular road mode, the steering is nice to use. It's not too light, but it's very easy to place the car on the road. But as soon as you put it in track mode, it weights up aggressively. It becomes a pretty decent arm workout to hustle this thing around some turns. Now the transmission, when it's in street mode, it's pretty nice, smooth shifts and nothing unobtrusive. It shifts at the appropriate shift point, and it's nice. It's a good car to daily. But then you put it in track mode and it keeps it revved up. It wants you to rev this thing out. It's ready with banging up shifts. It'll do rev match downshifts for you. And then when you put the paddles on, they're actually pretty damn quick to shift. One thing that's weird about the paddles is in the location where you would normally pull an upshift paddle or a downshift paddle, you have these buttons behind the steering wheel that control functions on the screen and radio and whatnot. The paddles are actually above those, and you only get the top half of the paddle, not the bottom half. It's definitely interesting. It's not something I would personally complain about, but it's something you do have to get used to. When you first hop in the car, you'll notice these performance bucket seats. Now they're heated and cooled. They have SRT badging stitched into the backrests, and they have plenty of bolstering. What are you honking about, buddy? Come on. But they have plenty of bolstering, so that way when you're going around turns at the speed of light, you won't get flung around anywhere. And man, you can actually go around turns pretty quick in this thing. You can actually get it to hustle. It grips really, really well with these Pirelli P0 tires. But like I said, 4,400 pounds makes it something that you don't really want to hustle through really tight bends. It's good for sweepers. When you're just hammering down a back road with some sweepers, it grips hard and feels really nice. And man, I mean, this... Yeah. Doesn't matter if it may not be able to absolutely eat up a back road, but as soon as you pull onto the main straight, you're gonna smoke absolutely everything with this thing because of that freaking V8 that's awesome to use. So back to the interior. Like I said, first thing you notice, those seats are extremely comfortable. You can easily daily this thing, easily drive it for 8 hours straight with no issues. They are so comfortable to use. And this steering wheel, it's nice and thick and leather wrapped. It has the big SRT badge on the horn so that way you are constantly reminded of what you are driving. When you look at the gauge cluster, it's the standard tack on the left, speedo on the right, but in between you have a massive screen that you can use for literally every function, speedometer, trip computer, all that good stuff. But my favorite is the performance page. Right now I have it set to show me a 0 to 60 meters. So literally you can have it count you down for a 0 to 60 run, mat the gas, and it'll time your 0 to 60. My best just from this review has been 5.1 seconds, and I haven't even used traction control. I've used it offset, but in this review, my best is 5.1 seconds. That's fast without even trying. So that just goes to show what this thing's capable of. You can also go in and it'll show you all sorts of stuff with the engine and the whole car in general. It'll show you transmission temp, engine temperature, all that good stuff. It'll also show you if you have any diagnostic codes in the engine, so you don't have to plug in anything. It'll actually show you, be like, oh, something's broken, let me show you what's broken. That's a pretty nice feature. Now the overall interior quality is the same as you would find in any other Charger, which is to say it's actually pretty damn good. You have a nice soft touch dash with some aluminum accents around the center console here, which is really nice. And I love the fact that it feels like a sporty muscle car while still combining all the luxury features you want. You have nice leather wrapped rests on the doors. The center console lid here is nice and leather wrapped. The central dashboard area has chrome around it, like I said, chrome around the steering wheel. And I love this really cool, I tried to describe this in another review of a V6 Charger I did. It's this cool like perforated aluminum, but it's really dark and it has like hexagonal patterns in it. That's really the best I can do to describe it to you guys. I apologize for that, but it looks sick. You also have a sunroof here. And the rear seats are heated and they are beyond comfortable. Plenty of leg room. Headroom can be a little bit tight if you're taller, but then again, the trunk is pretty nice as well, pretty big, and you can use this car every single day, which is awesome because it allows you to never get old of that power. This is some car that you aren't just gonna drive it on a Sunday and get to experience the power every now and then. This is a car that you can experience the power consistently all the time, which is what makes it amazing. But now I think it's time to go into apps, go into drive modes, and go into custom, and then screw around with some of this. Transmission, let's put that in track. Traction control, let's put that in sport. Suspension, I'll put that in sport. Steering, I'll put that in track. And let's have some fun once I get past these guys. My average fuel economy, for those of you who were wondering, is 14.6 mpg. Dodge claims 15 city, 25 highway. I don't think you're gonna see that. Woo-hoo! Wow! You just forget how fast it is. You just ride a wave of torque. It's literally like surfing torque. It's insane. You hit the gas and you hear the noise and then boom, it just forces you forward. But at the same time, like I was saying earlier, it's not a scary amount of speed. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say anyone could hop in this car and floor it because, I mean, yeah, you might screw up a little bit. When I had first gotten in the car, I was at a red light and I literally tapped the gas a teeny bit and immediately lit up the tires. It was ridiculous. Like, not even trying, I got them to chirp. So you definitely gotta be aware of the power and respect the power, but that doesn't mean you can't use it all the time. And yeah, it doesn't have that supercharged whine of the Hellcat, but man, when you mat the gas, that V8 burble is ridiculous. And once it gets into the high end, it's a screamer. So now it's time to talk about the personality of the 392. And like I said with the Challenger review, this thing has stupid personality. It just does. I mean, when you hit the gas and you get that V8 noise, it's like a big F you to everyone around you. You fly by everyone, and this thing looks so damn aggressive and so outrageous that it brings out the inner child in you. That's exactly what it does. Like, does anyone need this power and this much noise and all that? No. And in the way our world's going with all the eco-mentalists out there and everyone going for 4 cylinders, hybrid drives and all that, no one expects to see a 6.4 liter V8 in a family sedan, and then you pull up in this thing and it just changes the game. It blows everyone's minds. Woo-hoo! Oh, baby! You can hear the freaking pops and crackles on upshifts. Oh, that's so sick. That's so nice. And yeah, the personality just comes out. You can feel the spirit and just overall passion of the engineers in this car. Because the guys at Dodge, I love those engineers. They're just like, well, you know what? We don't need to put a massive V8 in a car like this. But let's do it anyway. Let's go crazy with the performance settings. Let's make this thing a beast, because you know why? Why not? That's why they did it. It's because they can. They have the ability to just give a big F you to the automotive world and build something ridiculous. I mean, this car is utterly ridiculous. It's just, you don't need this, but you'll want it. That's exactly what this car is all about. As always, guys, thank you a bunch for tuning in to Motor Minds. I hope you really enjoyed this review. I sure as hell did, as you can tell by the smile on my face and the enthusiasm in my voice. So definitely tune in, check out our other reviews. We have a review on a Challenger Super B that you need to check out. That car was ridiculous. So I'm gonna pull over here, get some exhaust shots that will be in the video, and I'll catch you guys next time.